The raid to Barandal begins in a sugarcane field where Rama's older brother Andi is about to be executed by an underground mafia gang led by a man named Bajo. Andi had previously betrayed the head of a criminal gang named Tama and took over the group to arrest corrupt police officials in the capital. Therefore, Bajo, Tama's confidant, decides to kill Andi and take over all of Tama's businesses. In another place, Rama and Bowo, who had managed to get out of the headquarters of Tama's criminal gang, are meeting a police lieutenant named Bunawar, the head of the Internal Investigation Unit Division. Rama also brought Wahyu's lieutenant, who previously participated in Tama's ambush operation. Still, after all, traces of corruption and bribery were revealed. Tama immediately arrested Wahyu and handed him over to Bunawar. Based on orders from his older brother, Rama is asked to hand over all data regarding corrupt police officials who have accepted bribes from Tama. Owa was seriously injured, so Bunawar's men immediately took him to the hospital for treatment. After that, Bunawar asked his colleagues to shoot at Wahyu, who had been tied to a chair, until he was killed. Rama looks surprised to hear Bunawar's decision, but then he explains that Wahyu will not be able to survive until tomorrow because he is currently the target of corrupt police officials. Wahyu had to be killed so he could not reveal the location of Rama's whereabouts. Bunawar then said that now he had formed a small team to track down all the corrupt police officers and arrest them when the time was right. He also asked Rama to join his team, and he would help Rama protect his family. First, Bunawar will fake Rama's death and report to the police that all the police officers who participated in the operation to ambush Tama have died. Thus, high-ranking police officers and corrupt officials will not know Rama's whereabouts. The scene changes when Rama and his father are mourning Andi's death. From the information provided by Bunawar, he knew that the people who had executed his elder brother were Bajo's group. Bajo also killed Bowo and his family after his identity was leaked. For this reason, Bunawar advised Rama to change his identity so that he could protect his family from harm. Bunawar also orders Rama to disguise himself and try to gain the trust of a gangster leader named Bong-un. Bong-un and a leader of another gangster group named Goto Bumi have divided their territory equally, and both agreed to make peace with each other. Bunawar asks Rama to join Bong-un's gangster group so they can get all the information about corrupt police officials. This is because the data they obtained from Tama's headquarters is still insufficient evidence to ensnare corrupt police officers. First, Rama must approach Bong-un's son, Ucho, who is currently in prison for violence and abuse. Before doing his undercover mission, he said goodbye to his wife and father because he would be gone for quite a long time in this mission. After that, he met Bunawar to plan his undercover mission in prison. To approach Ucho, Rama must have a criminal record that can attract Ucho's attention. Therefore, he went into the bar and beat up a young man who had previously been in conflict with Ucho, which caused him to go to prison. After that, he changed his name to Yuda so that others would not know his disguise. Shortly after, Yuda was imprisoned for the abuse he had previously committed against a young man at a nightclub. Turned out that young man was the son of a politician. His life in prison will not run smoothly because many inmates are constantly targeting and intending to kill him. Even when he was in the bathroom, dozens of inmates who sided with the politician's son had surrounded and prepared to attack him. Yuda had no other choice but to fight against them alone. Fortunately, even though he was alone against all of them, he managed to defeat them all with his martial skills. The next day when Yuda was having lunch in the prison cafeteria, Ucho approached him and invited him to join his gang. Thus, Ucho can protect him from attacks by other inmates, including one of the most dangerous inmates, Benny. However, he refused Ucho's offer and immediately left him. After that, in the detention visit room, a man named Eka, Bong-un's confidant, came to visit Ucho as usual. At the meeting, Ucho asked Eka to investigate Yuda's background, but he said that Yuda was just a villager with no connections. He also tells Ucho that Yuda went to jail because he beat up a politician's son, which caused him to go to jail. The next day, the inmates were on the edge of the prison grounds to shelter from the rain. But after seeing the suspicious movements of the prisoners, Yuda sensed that an attack was about to occur. He also armed himself with a broom handle he had been holding. And it turns out that his guess is right. Benny and his gang begin to approach Ucho and intend to kill him. Yuda immediately stopped them with a broom handle, and a fight began. The inmates from the Ucho gang start to fight with the inmate member of Benny's gang. Seeing a growing uproar, the police officers began preparing to separate them all. Massive fights and bloodshed began in the middle of the prison grounds. During the chaos, Yuda realized that Benny was about to stab Ucho, who had fallen unconscious, so he immediately ran and stopped Benny. He even almost killed Benny, but the action was prevented by the police officers, and the fight between the prisoners ended. After 2 years of detention, Yuda was finally released from prison. Outside the prison, he is picked up by Ucho, who got out of prison first. To thank Yuda for saving him while in prison, his father asked him to bring the two of them together. In another place, Ucho's father, Bong-un, is talking with Goto Bumi about Bijo criminal group that has recently been making a lot of noise in their area. He also intends to fix Bijo's problem, but Goto prevents him because he doesn't want any fuss to be in vain. Not long after that, Yuda and Ucho arrived at Bong-un's office. Bong-un, who begins to trust Yuda, decides to hire him as Ucho's accomplice and asks him to accompany Ucho in running their business. After Yuda arrived at his apartment, he immediately contacted Bunawar and told him that he had now managed to get into Bong-un's mafia group. The next day, Yuda had his first day accompanying Ucho. They came to an illegal adult filming site to collect deposit taxes. However, the situation became even tense when Ucho demanded more money, and the owner of Topan's business did not want to pay more. Ucho received information that Topan had been selling drugs to Bong-un's territory without a permit, so he wanted to ask Topan for a larger fee. However, Topan denies this and begins to code his men to attack him. Yuda, who realized that Topan's men were about to take weapons, immediately attacked him with a kick. The battle between their group began. Seeing the increasingly serious situation, Topan tried to run away, but Yuda managed to catch up and catch him. After successfully handing over the deposit money to his father, Ucho asks Bong-un to give him a bigger task than collecting the deposit money from small, less challenging criminal groups. But Bong-un refused and immediately told him to leave. Ucho, who feels disappointed with his father and still can't trust him with a bigger task, also entertains himself by coming to a karaoke place with Yuda. When Ucho went out to call someone, Yuda took the opportunity to install a bug in his wallet. Elsewhere, Bong-un meets a Prakoso man to kill a small criminal group that has violated the agreement in his territory. Prakoso is Bong-un's confidant who has been loyal and has worked for him for more than 30 years. That night, Prakoso, with a long machete in his hand, immediately followed his target and attacked them alone. With great fighting ability, he was able to defeat them all in a very short time. On the other hand, Bijo invites Ucho to have dinner at one of his fancy restaurants to talk about business matters and Goto's territory. Before that, Bijo gave him a small gift, namely the opportunity to kill Benny and his gang, who had previously intended to kill him in prison. He was happy to accept the gift. While executing, Ucho and Bijo began to talk about their agreement. He wants Ucho to seize the territory owned by Goto because he intends to develop his business venture there. Ucho knew that Bijo and Goto had agreed to make peace and divide the territory equally over the years. Therefore, Bijo asked Ucho for help to cooperate and pit the Bong-un and Goto's mafia groups against each other so that war for power would begin. He deliberately incited Ucho because he knew that Ucho had always felt disappointed with his father, who never trusted him with a bigger task. Thus, Bijo uses the opportunity to take advantage of Ucho and makes him think this will be his chance to prove himself to his father. And according to Bijo's suspicions, he agreed to the plan. Without them knowing, all these conversations have been tapped by Yuda, who has known all their plans. The following night, Ucho intends to kill Prakoso and manipulates the incident as if the person who killed Prakoso was Goto's subordinate. That night, he asked Prakoso to meet at a nightclub, then he purposely left Prakoso alone so his men could kill him immediately. Prakoso also had to fight against them all alone. The place was ravaged by the fight between him and Ucho's men. After a very long and tiring battle, Prakoso finally only needed to finish one more young man. However, in his remaining strength, a man who was an assassin paid by Ucho approached and immediately killed him mercilessly. After Prakoso's death, Ucho met his father and said that based on the testimony of people at the scene, the person who had killed Prakoso was Goto's subordinate. He also forces his father to retaliate against the Goto Mafia group as revenge for Prakoso's death. However, he refused because he didn't want this matter to cause a bigger problem and cause more bloodshed. Hearing this, he immediately left Bong-un's office and called Bijo. He orders Bijo to continue their plan and starts attacking a Japanese group that is an affiliate of the Goto Mafia gang. Bijo also mobilized his men to capture and kill members of the Japanese group one by one, thus triggering a war between Bong-un's group and Goto's group. Even Yuda was the target of attacks from members of the Goto Mafia group when he was driving a taxi. Fortunately, he survived and defeated everyone who attacked him in that place. The next day, Goto and Bong-un met at a place to mediate over recent incidents. In the meeting, Goto's son Keiichi said that the attack done by his subordinates was only retaliation for the assassination Bong-un's group had committed against the Japanese group. However, Ucho denied it and said that the group that do the attack first was Goto's men, who had killed Prakoso. Goto denies this and convinces Bong-un that the person who killed Prakoso was not a member of his group. Hearing all that, Bong-un decided to end this war peacefully and was responsible for all the losses caused by his men. After arriving at his office, Bong-un immediately beat Ucho for not respecting him during the mediation process. Seeing this, Eka also contacted Yuda to immediately come to the office and pick up Ucho. Not long after, Bijo came with his men to Bong-un's office. It turned out that Ucho had conspired with Bijo to betray his father and decided to kill his own father. Ucho also shoots at Eka and intends to kill him. But before that happens, Yuda has already stopped Ucho and immediately asked Eka to run away. As a result, he was even arrested by Bijo's men and taken to a place to be executed. Eka, who saw Yuda about to be taken into a car, immediately followed them to save him. After receiving the code from Eka, Yuda immediately put up a fight in the car. Yuda fights against Bijo's men in a car at high speed while Eka tries to get rid of Bijo's other men using his car. And after a very fierce and dangerous fight, they finally managed to defeat them and fled to a safer place. After arriving at their destination, Eka said that he had known Yuda's disguise because previously, he was actually a police officer assigned to infiltrate Bong-un's mafia group. However, after several incidents, he becomes loyal to Bong-un and leaves his job. After knowing all that, Yuda immediately contacted Bunawar to tell him about the disguise that Eka had known. Hearing this, Bunawar ordered him to immediately complete his last task, which was to arrest Bijo and a political official named Reza. They are known to have conspired to control all the underworld mafia fiefdoms and cooperated with many other corrupt politicians to expand their illegal business. Yuda immediately went to Bijo's headquarters and barged in by car. He again fought alone to defeat all of Bijo's men. The battle between him and all of Bijo's men was fierce and took quite a long time. Meanwhile, Ucho, who was cleaning himself in the bathroom, found a bug in his wallet, but he still didn't know who had installed the bug. When he rejoined Bijo and Reza, he accidentally saw the tattoo on Bijo's hand, which was exactly the same as Benny's. Ucho also concluded that Bijo had been planning to pit two gangsters against each other for a long time. He also thinks Benny has been ordered by Bijo to kill him while he is still in prison and that Bijo is currently conspiring with Reza to get rid of him. At the same time, Yuda is still struggling to beat the rest of Bijo's men. His opponent was even tougher because he had to deal with an assassin who had previously killed Prakoso. The battle between him and the assassin was very fierce. Although he almost died in the fight, he finally managed to kill the assassin and immediately went to where Bijo was. When Bijo realized that Yuda was about to attack him, Bijo immediately took a weapon and threw another weapon at Reza. However, Ucho took the gun and immediately used it to kill Reza. At the same time, Bijo tried to shoot at Yuda repeatedly. However, Ucho first shot Bijo in the leg and shoulder before finally he killed Bijo by shooting him in the head. After that, he intends to kill Yuda and end this war. However, Yuda managed to dodge all of Ucho's shots and defeat his enemy and kill Ucho. The film closes with Keiichi, who offers Yuda to join the Goto Bumi Mafia group. However, he refused and said that he had completed his last duty. This film teaches us not to be easily ignited in a fight that will eventually destroy us.